surprised to see them right out the gate with that. Unless Pika really wants to play Sim, but I can't imagine he would. Don't want to give up that Diva. There you go. Finally switched over. Panic, though. He's jumping onto the Moira instead of the Zen. This could be very bad news as Nishik, he's on the Zen.
Yeah, with Underwater Squad giving a Moira instead of a Zenyatta, they need to take clean surgical strikes and try and brute heal through it with the additional healing that Panic has to, like, dogpile onto the Zarya or onto the Zenyatta and try and guarantee themselves a kill that they can snowball with.
Yeah, they need to make the fights very, very quick and clean. Not quite as clean, though, as Baboon actually gets pushed into the rest of Phase 2. They end up killing him, which results in Underwater Squad retreating. I'm kind of curious now if they're actually going to switch over. Panic is 60% of the way to his ult, but Nishik is also 60% of the way to Transcendence as well. There you go, Panic resetting his ult bank completely, swapping over to Zen in the end.
Nishing hitting a good few orbs there to be able to keep up with a Moira in terms of ultimate generation. You can see Duplicate really wants to control this corner, but is going to cede some space as Baboon comes in. He knows he now has to worry about that Discord orb, which is such a worry for these Reinhardts. But Baboon, he's booped all the way in, Jaws.
Uh-oh, again, Baboon just gets caught out. This is an issue when you're letting Faz into your backline, or even the Brig with the rocket flail, just pushing a Reinhardt in the center of a team and then instantly getting pinned. That is very, very bad news. Faz is going to kill off Derek in the end, but Phase 2 continue to hold the point, and look at the ultimates that got online. Now Panic has reset his ult bank. He is no way near to that Transcendence to counteract the grab coming from Phase 2.
And speaking of Faz, we did see him play an Assassin Lucio quite a bit yesterday, especially on Horizon Lunar Colony. He loves to get into a backline, try and use those boops to misposition the enemy Reinhardt, and Baboon's really suffering from that at the moment. Faz is going to be dueled out by Reptile, and they have chased him down, Jaws.
That was a nice rocket flow straight into the air. The Graviton Surge will come out and trap Baboon, Kevin, and Panic. Panic finally build out towards that Transcendence in that meantime, but the self-destruct still finds one kill. Another self-destruct Graviton Surge combo will come out, and Icy will net himself at least one kill, but Duplicate once again killing off Baboon means Phase 2 have the main tank advantage, and Icy is all alone in the back line. Same with Reptile, who isn't really escorting his Diva away, just meaning he's left in no man's land, has to reset himself. Phase 2 end up winning another team fight.
Once again, we find ourselves in last fight territory with Phase 2 moving up towards 83%, and Underwater Squad on that big fat zero. They've got to invest in this next fight. They've got to basically use everything they have to try and make this even vaguely competitive. They do have the Earth Shatter and that Sound Barrier, so they may have to leverage a Sound Barrier to try and get aggressive, but Faz can wait for that. He can use the second barrier and have the advantage.
There you go, Reptile is going to use that Sound Barrier to push them onto the point. That Shadow does hit 3 people, but Faz instantly comes in with a Sound Barrier of his own. Now they have the HP advantage they were looking for, and Duplicate is able to take out Kevin. Derek is also going to fall. The desperation Shadow comes out from Derek just before he ends up going down, but the rest of his team are going to be able to follow up on him. A Transcendence from Panic is met instantly with a Graviton Surge from Onyx. Self-destruct on the point for a bit of victory fireworks. OT ticks down, and that'll be Phase 2. Taking Lighthouse.
And we talk about this so much because it's so important. The game of like ultimate chicken between the two Lucios, because you have such an advantage when you go Sound Barrier versus Sound Barrier if you can cast yours slightly later, because Sound Barrier 750 barrier degrades over time, and that means if you use it later, then yours will degrade, well, not at a slower rate, but it will last deeper into the fight in terms of how it degrades by itself. So if you can force out the enemy Sound Barrier before and then have the advantage in using yours later, that can often turn a fight around in your favor. And it was great there that Phase 2 managed to weather the storm on Reptile Sound Barrier engage and allowed Faz to use his to try and counter out a Earth Shatter as well as just give the Overshield. So he not only managed to defend his team, but also mitigate an enemy ultimate.
We're now on Ruins, Harry. No Widowmakers, unfortunately. Just both teams stick with 3-3. Panic's not going to make the same mistake, though. He's running out on the Zen. They know they want to play 3-3 up against Phase 2's 3-3. Faz went already aggressive again, tried to get a boot. Baboon's getting just bopped around, but so is Duplicate, who ends up going down first. King is soon to follow him, but they do trade Reinhardt for Reinhardt as Baboon also goes down. And now the rest of Underwater Squad pushing on Phase 2 spawn. However, they are going to have to retreat rather fast as Underwater Squad need to take the point.
This time Underwater Squad had no shenanigans with a Moira at the start. They knew they were going to go up against Phase 2's 3-3, so they came out straight away with that all-important Zenyatta, putting down the orbs on Duplicate, making sure he could not be as aggressive as he would like. Faz actually the recipient of Discord up at the moment because he's up in the air. Reptile's going to try and duel with him on the pillars, yours.
Yeah, he's actually dueling with on the statue right now. Reptile gets a nice boop, but Icy actually booped the Reinhardt backwards into the boop of Reptile, so he didn't really end up moving a whole lot, but that does leave them enough space to actually go for King. A nice shield slam from Kevin stops Duplicate trying to get a cheeky pin onto Baboon, and they do end up securing the fight and a couple of ults to work with as well for next. They have Trance, they have that Shatter, and most importantly, Derek is 15% away from that grab.
Faz does have the advantage on the sound barrier, however, Reptile's still a little bit away from that, so maybe a bit of quick aggression here before Reptile can accrue all the charge he needs for that ultimate. Could manage to catch Underwater Squad off guard, but they have to be very conscious of Derek. We do know that Pika is one of the best divas in NA when it comes to eating up these Gravitons, but thus far it doesn't look like he's got Derek's number.
Faz once again going super aggro, trying to boot Baboon into the rest of phase 2. Reptile trying to do the same thing, again playing on those pillars. They're going to have to touch at some point, Harry. They're already up to 60%. Phase 2 need to find the flip around. Pika can taking control of that mega health pack area. There'll be a beat, as well as that Graviton Surge coming out from Underwater Squad. The self-destruct laid on top as well. That healing's not going to be enough, as Icy takes 2 with him to the grave. Duplicate and King end up going down. Pika with a quick reset as he jumps off the edge, and Faz falling as well. 80% now, and last fight for phase 2. This could be another 100-0, but this time in favor of Underwater Squad.
Well, that's what I talked about. I said Pika needed to eat the grab, but it was Icy there who came through with the grabby onto Itsonix, and Itsonix didn't have such a good day yesterday when it came to landing these Gravitons. An early use of the Earth Shatter.
And early, the self-destruct as well got launched near to the point, letting Faz actually get onto the point and potentially get an overtime cap. Duplicate ends up going down to Babu's slam, a charge even, and now phase 2 are in control, but it is only Faz left on the point, which makes it so easy for Underwater Squad to rotate. They end up flipping it over once again, and now it's just staggered members of phase 2 making their way onto the point. King and Onyx fall. Pika's only a baby diva. Duplicate's not going to be able to do much, and Underwater Squad don't quite find the 100-0, but it might as well have been.
So we saw 100-0 on Lighthouse, now it's 100-5 on Ruins. Well, rarely will lend itself to these 3-3 compositions. You're far more likely to see an Orisa or a Winston, so maybe the first control won't be as devastating as it was on these previous points. It's going to be all about mind games here, trying to out-comp the opponent. Underwater Squad may decide that they want to be able to match the Orisa that Duplicate will bring out. Boom. Does look like he's going to be hovering that at the moment, but you've also got to decide what kind of DPS you want. Often you will opt for a Hanzo or a McCree, but Hanzo's got a little bit better chances at long-range shield damage at the moment, thanks to lack of damage fall-off and the Storm Arrow. But given recent buffs to McCree's Fan the Hammer, he can just sort of like right-click his way, add an Orisa shield. It's pretty hard to miss those, even with the very unreliable spread.
I do find myself trying to track people when I fan the hammer, and like it doesn't really work too well, but when it does, you're like, yeah, I made an impact. I made an impact. That was me. Does it like they are going to move their way onto the point, Harry? He's going to be Onyx, of course, on that Roadhog. Duplicate is going to be on the Orisa, and King is going to receive a mighty damage boost also. This could just be the tipping point that phase 2 need. Point will unlock in a couple of seconds. Those shields are falling, and Underwater Squad right now playing rather passive. The shield's going down way too fast.
Underwater Squad do not have the extra beef that's given. It's Onyx using that beef.
Reptile gets killed before he can even get dunked into the well itself. Baboon is also going to fall down, and phase 2, all this meanwhile as well, have control of the point. Faz with that damage boost on the Hanzo, and even on someone like a Zenyatta some of the time, Hog, Rissa, literally anybody, they're going to have shield priority 99% of the time in this matchup.
I have to see what Underwater Squad are going to do to try and re-engage here. Baboon's going to swap main tanks, no longer with a slow Orisa. Instead, Jaws, we're going to be having a look at the Winston. Does like it is going to be a full dive. We are going to forgo the Genji, though. Instead of the Genji, we are going to have that Sombra. Usually we do see Derek playing the Sombra. In fact, Derek's now swapping over to the Genji. It looks like there may be a little bit of discordance in the comms right now for Underwater Squad, trying to figure out what they want to play. Looks like they've settled on a composition, but now they need to find their insertion point. They need to know where they are going to place themselves, because when they make that dive, Nishik's more than ready to use the Transcendence.
Panic wasn't ready, mate. He just got body shot with a damage boost by King. We trade 1-for-1 though as Nishik ends up going down. Onyx gets hacked as well, which means he can't actually use that rebreather. He's probably spamming E in a corner somewhere. Baz is going to heal him up and make sure he does survive the initial engagement. Reptile and Icy will end up going down. But this is old school dive as well from Underwater Squad, minus the Sombra, of course. It will be traded up for a Tracer, but they're running Lucio and the Zen, so they need to end someone's life very fast. Phase 2 going to make sure that Underwater Squad are going to have to pay a little bit more attention to whose ult's going to be up, because right now we've got 6 on board. It's a very devastating combo to walk into as well. That bomb could come down at any second. There we go. It's not going to end well. Derek's already gone down, Harry. Even Faz using that Valkyrie 2 for additional damage boost and the healing. There's no way Underwater Squad are going to be able to take this now.
80% more damage coming out from King right now. Look at this. Phase 2 are about 9% away from having claimed this point and all of Ilios. It's going to have to be a desperation attack from Underwater Squad. They're already missing Reptile.
Pika's also got self-destruct. Onyx has a whole hog as well. We haven't got near a Dragon Blade. That's EMP will end up going off, but finds nothing with the Icy finds nothing with the self-destruct to layer on top of it. King ends up going down, and Panic uses that ult charge he gained to actually use a Transcendence. Another self-destruct from Pika though is going to land on the back line. Onyx ends up trading 1 apiece as he does go down with Derek, but Faz falling as well does mean phase 2 defenses are thwarted as they use 6 ultimates in the fight against 2, and Underwater Squad still managed to win.
Well, Kevin there, just a hero with the EMP, managing to get rid of so many shields, making sure Pika couldn't control the point with the self-destruct, and also making sure that it would be very hard for Faz to get away on that Mercy. And I'd like to point out that Panic was doing huge amounts of damage. I don't think he missed a single orb, and he brought out a Transcendence as well to keep his team sustained through that fight. So Kevin and Panic there, they were the heroes, but Derek now needs to be a hero with his blade. Big
Blade straight on the support. That is a one and done slash. Faz and Nishik are going to go down, and now phase 2 have nothing to retreat to. Pika's going to get demeched. Duplicate and Onyx do find a couple of kills though on the side of phase 2. However, still the point is in control by Underwater Squad, and in fact Derek and Panic now switching up to the Fire and Mercy.
Yeah, they used what they wanted to, so now they're going to swap over to Fire Mercy. Want that additional sustainability you can get from the Resurrection, and of course the larger single target healing that Mercy has, especially while Valkyrie is available. Meanwhile, Derek, he's going to find himself contested in the air, Jaws. Sonic's decided, no, I'm not going to stay on Visaya while you're on the air. I'm going to go over to McCree, have that long-range hit scan, but of course he will suffer from damage drop-off if Derek keeps his distance.
That's exactly what he's doing right now. He is playing around the lighthouse, of course. Duplicate finds himself on the point, drops the bubble, but he gets instantly killed by Derek. There's the EMP in the small health pack room. Can't even get the small health pack either, as it does get hacked with the EMP. Baboon's just going to have a bit of a field day in the tight corridors. He just jump around with the Primal Rage, finds himself a triple kill, as Derek as well, finding himself a couple. Is going to earn himself a barrage for the next fight, only 15% away. And we're only 25% away from Underwater Squad taking the series.
Exactly.
The map, not the series, just yet. Hold on.
Exactly that. Phase 2 were able to taste victory, but it's so close to being Underwater Squad stealing those scraps from right beneath them. Derek almost has a barrage ready to go. There's going to have to be a big response here. It's going to be down to Pika to try and eat that up with a defense matrix if he wants his team to survive that ginormous amount of damage.
Wow, Duplicate's actually landing himself on the point. Someone boots him away. Derek finds one with the barrage. There's a lot of people in a very tight corridor. Pika's going to go down as well. Self-destruct on the point from Icy to try and hack away at Duplicate's health bars. He also gets hacked in the meantime. A Transcendence right in front of Onyx to make sure he can get a free Deadeye off, but it's going to get bubbled away. Baboon was completely unaffected by the Deadeye, but Fat is still trying to find kills as well. Icy is also going to fall. It's the same situations we saw a couple of days ago, Harry, where it's like, ignore the Fire, just kill off the rest of the team, and we'll deal with the Fire later. Panic is going to go down on the Mercy, and now it is only Reptile to touch, but they're already dead. Phase 2, at the very end, in the very last moments, managed to clutch out well and find Ilios.
And some super high IQ plays there from Nishik to try and defend its Onyx during that Deadeye. He was actually body blocking with the Transcendence to make sure that long-range burst damage couldn't come in from those Fire Rockets. Our play of the game is going to be Baboon going absolutely ape. But it does seem like when it came down to it in those brawls, Phase 2 just had a little bit better target prioritization in that final map. In that final fight, I thought it was definitely going to go the way of Underwater Squad because Derek managed to extract so much value from the barrage, and Pika used his self-destruct when I think he should have been more focused, of course, on trying to eat that up with the defense matrix. But it does seem like, once again, we have seen some great teamwork coming out from Phase 2.
Phase 2, they do end up winning a map or at least a couple every single series. We'll see if they can actually roll this to an entire series win because they are still yet to pick up that. But it's a good start, especially on Ilios. We saw 100-0 go the way of Phase 2, 105% go the way to Underwater Squad, and then a 99-99. So it can't really get much closer than that in the very last moments. Underwater Squad is their map choice, of course. King's Row will be the pick. I can't imagine it was going to be anything else, as every single team right now seems to want to go up to London.
Well, why wouldn't they? It's in honor of us, Jaws. They are
You
honoring
say that every time.
their casters from Old Blighty. Yeah, man. Because
I don't think that's true.
it remains true. That's why I say it every time. But King's Row is also one of the most thoroughly scrimmed maps of every team.
Yes,
Like,
it's probably one of the most just favorite maps in general. Like even from the very birth of Overwatch, I can't remember a point in time where King's Row wasn't a preferred map by a lot of teams.
Yeah, and that means that even if teams have not been together so long, both of these teams, of course, did do open division together, but over the course of basically your entire competitive career, you will have been scrimming King's Row pretty thoroughly. And that means that there's a lot of good map awareness here that teams think they can use to their advantage. They can pull out these unique strats. Sometimes we see Junkrats or Ashes or Orissas, and sometimes we just see 3-3 versus 3-3.
Which is probably going to happen. Although you can run fire on this map. It's a little bit wonky on the offense. You do have to get yourself in a position where you're kind of moving around the hotel, but there can be a lot of incoming fire from the archway, for example. But if you can get a dominant position near the high ground as well, you can kind of control that long corridor that normally you see Widowmaker or a Hanzo, for example, sit in and then just rain havoc from above. Defense a little bit better because then you could use the hotel as cover in that instance and then retreat to the high ground if necessary.
Yeah, King's Row first is definitely all about rotations and who can get the most effective crossfires and angles if you're going to be leveraging those long-range DPS, or who can find themselves on the point. Like, as an offense, if you're going for 3-3, you can try and muscle yourself onto a point so that the onus is on the defenders to come on and contest, whereas you can stand pretty firm as a 3-3 towards a point as a defense if you don't cede that space. If you start to give away that space, then you're going to put your Reinhardt in a very dangerous situation where he's forced to press W to contest the point, while he may not have the resources he needs to survive, like a Brigida repair pack or the Zarya bubbles, and those go away much faster than you think when you're up against the speed boost and a lot of M1.
Yeah, it's always surprising how quickly your Zarya bubble ends up disappearing. You're like, oh, it's already gone. And then when the enemy's Zarya, I don't know if that's actually has a name for it, where you perceive things that you give out or you use as like a shorter time window than when an enemy uses it. Because I always think when I'm trying to fight a Zarya and she's got bubble up, if I like stop firing to make sure the bubble goes away first, I can't think of an instance where it hasn't felt like 15 years before that actually disappears and she's already like halfway across the map escaping.
It's the same with Genji Deflect. Wait, if she's escaping, if you're chasing him down, Jules, break that bubble. You got to ensure that kill.
Alright, well, she's just running somewhere, you know.
Poor
like...
play.
maybe I'm just bad, I don't know.
It's also like internalized that you don't feed the Zarya bubbles.
Yeah, although most people do. Like, you do nowadays anyway, because that Zarya bubble breaks so fast. It is surprising how fast it does break. It can sometimes actually catch the Zarya off guard. That's why most of the time you'll see just people pummeling it. Which also leads to Zarya's actually having a crazy amount of charge, which is also much more fun if you're a Zarya player, rather than sitting on 20 energy. 100 energy does feel good and sound a lot better.
Yeah, it is also far more worthwhile than 3-3 versus 3-3 to get rid of the enemy Rhine, compared to the rescue take and having a high charge enemy Zarya.
It's like, oh no, Zarya's high charge. Oh, but their Rhine's still alive. Well, I guess we lose. It's like, no, just kill the shield. Like, it's whatever. As soon as we get that away, if we've got shield left, we can kind of run into them and it's all over, basically. Doesn't like both teams are going to roll out with the same thing, though, Harry. 3-3 versus 3-3. Phase 2 on the offense.
Phase 2 going to be the pace car here. Once again, they are rolling out now with that all-important Zenyatta. No longer going to have any shenanigans with the Moira like we saw on first point of Ilios. And also, like, Baboon's going to throw out Cursory Fire Strike to begin with, try and get a little bit of that ultimate charge. And one of the things we really need to note about these divas is how much they can mitigate in terms of Reinhardt ultimate charge by eating up the Fire Strike to the defense matrix. That's one of the most easier projectiles to hit, and it's very risk-free in early game.
Oh, Faz, you have something rather cheeky. Baboon was holding shield that entire time. Duplicate, not so much. He was just swinging away straight into the shield of Underwater Squad. And, well, sorry, phase 2 even, and Baboon ends up going down. Quick reset, though. Shouldn't be too long before they get back in the action.
And that's super important that you can get that boot, because even if you don't manage to kill Baboon, at that point you may be expecting Reptile to try and amp speed in order to try and have Baboon have an effective retreat path with that extra speed. Duplicate, once again, he's going to play around the statue, doesn't want to give away any more space than this. This is what I was talking about in our pre-ramble, about how you don't want to give up the space on the point to the offense, because it forces your Reinhardt into positions they do not like.
Speaking of bubble breaks, that's I just saw it there. I'm not entirely sure if we caught it on camera, but Baboon had the shield on him, and within half a second it was broken. So that's how much damage is being thrown out right now. And there should be a whole lot more as well, as Onyx has got that Graviton Surge available. Derek's a little bit further behind him, however. Rally does come through from Kevin as they do march on towards Duplicate. He is going to get caught up though in that Graviton Surge. Nothing really to combo with this grab, as that Transcendence will come out to save most of them, apart from Kevin, who did end up getting slammed against the wall. They trade Kevin for a mech though, as a rally comes out from King. Another Transcendence, not quite mixed with the self-destruct until a little bit too late. But this chick's going to survive because he's in Transcendence, and the shield is actually going to help Duplicate stay alive. Not for long, however, as he ends up going down to an Earth Shatter. A beat comes through from phase 2 as they do march themselves onto the point, and the entirety of Underwater Squad now scattered to the 4 winds as they end up having to back off.
Interesting decision making from Baboon there. He knew that the self-destruct would break the remainder of Duplicate shield, so when he saw that was going to explode, he laid down the Earth Shatter as well, knowing that there'd be no shield available for Duplicate unless he got a Zarya bubble, and it didn't look like that was going to be the case. So a good job there to try and isolate and eliminate the enemy Reinhardt, which obviously is the most surefire way to win a 3-3 versus 3-3 duel, and they've moved up so far already. Don't want to cede away this archway because it's such important space for the defensive team.
Yeah, you can hold so far up, it's actually a little bit insane. More often than not, especially early on when 3-3 really wasn't a thing, you'd kind of hide around this corner, but 3-3 really can just plant itself right in the center of this. It's a bit of a boom for the attackers though, because you can heal off the payload, so it's that small bit of extra healing that you're receiving during these fights, which enables the attackers to really kind of leverage that space too. Self-destruct is going to get launched in. Duplicate's going to go fairly aggressive. Baboon as well, as he lays down the shadow in the corridor, but the rest of Underwater Squad are going to back off.
Thought they could punish that aggression, and now Derek's just going to be hopping up on top of the payload. Will let go of the self-destruct.
3-man grab comes in. Another Graviton Surge as well coming in for phase 2, but 2 Transcendences are going to keep both teams alive for the time being. Icy gets demegged as Baboon still swinging away. It's got 45% on that Shatter, but Duplicate's a little bit further ahead of him, Harry. He's already got his available, and Faz even has that beat as well. On phase 2 side, they've only got the rally for the next fight.
Icy though definitely needs to try and get that mech back. He's trying to use the Bunny Blast, but he's not really hitting the shots that he needs to. Phase 2 may need to leverage one of their support ultimates in order to force their way through this choke. They have the additional healing from the payload, but it's not worth it for how much they have to trade off in terms of eating these orbs from Nishik.
There's both rallies being used as they do move their way onto the payload. Duplicate still has his ultimate available. That Shadow, that self-destruct's going to do a whole lot of damage. Now Duplicate has no shield. Neither does Baboon as he gets sent straight to the floor. Duplicate still holding fast though around the side of this corner. Both beasts were using that engagement as well, so no real leverage now for phase 2 in terms of support ultimates. A Graviton Surge comes up. Icy does deny it with a perfectly timed eat. Duplicate charges straight on him, pins Baboon, and ends up taking the kill as well. That will be Underwater Squad still moving forward. In fact, using that self-destruct, Pika from downtown picks up both supports from phase 2. Kevin just running away with the rest of his team, and you can see Underwater Squad chasing right to their spawn.
Good sense of vulnerability there from Pika, making sure that we saw Reptile use the speed boost to try and disengage with Panic after Baboon was taken down, but that did mean there was both no speed boost and no shield available, so he thought he could get both of those guys with the courtyard self-destruct, and that's exactly what he managed to do, and that's meant that Reptile and Panic didn't quite get as much time to build up these ultimates as they would like, and had to use some time to respawn as well. Look at Faz here, trying to get an early boot, but he may well get caught out, may decide that he needs the Zarya bubble to survive up here, but it's going to be a rotation from phase 2. Don't want to have to deal with Faz up above.
No, they do not. Both rallies used it again. What a surprise. There's a Shadow, but Baboon actually got booped behind Duplicate's shield and actually connected with nothing. And because of that, he's going to go down as well. That shield is only protecting you from frontwards damage. There's nothing on the sides. An easy cleanup now for Underwater Squad, who didn't use any ults in that fight apart from that rally, which is pretty expendable at this point.
The mitigation there on Baboon Shadow was super good. Not only did they get the boot to extend the cast time and allow extra reactions, but its Sonics actually shielded the entire thing with his personal barrier. Because it got booped behind Duplicate's shield, it was down to him to be that second line of defense to mitigate that. Derek's moving forward, looking, he wants to use this Graviton, but Pika's got his eyes on it.
Ooh, Graviton Surge coming through from Underwater Squad. Self-destruct from Pika as well. They need to find the boot. The shield's removed, and Reptile gets removed off the face of the map as well. Icy still has his self-destruct, as well as Derek using his in the choke. They do throw it in. Is there anything to protect them? Of course there is. Duplicate gets stunned at the end of the cast time, but still manages to block the rest of that damage. And there's no real follow-up once more from phase 2, as Baboon already went down at the start of the fight. Desperation from Derek and Icy. They've only got 30 seconds remaining now, and Underwater Squad still have 3 ults to work with.
Not a fan of having gone for that combination without the available pin from their Reinhardt. That meant there was nothing to mitigate the potential shields. We're going to shield out that self-destruct. It's a long rotation coming through here from Underwater Squad. We're going to try and pin phase 2 up against the cart.
Faz could potentially get a fat spook. That's not a good shadow. They went wide. It went completely wide. There is the beat from phase 2. A later beat from Underwater Squads. They're going to have a HP advantage near the end of the fight. Baboon ends up going down first as Faz, still with that sound barrier, is able to just assist the rest of his team. There's nothing stopping them now as the Graviton Surge gets thrown in phase 2's face. 3 members get caught up, but Panic saves most of them with the Transcendence. Duplicate and King ended up getting traded out as well. So this is phase 2 potentially winning the end of this fight.
Maybe so, but Boom managing to get that frag there. Underwater Squad do look like they're going to take control of the cart. We did actually, we swapped sides of the teams. Didn't even notice.
Yeah.
But now...
This happens way too often in 3-3. The teams just end up swapping sides. It looks ridiculous.
Underwater Squad just deserve to be in blue, man.
Clearly.
I talk about it a lot on Control, but now I'm going to talk about it on Hybrid. Absolute perfection is demanded here from Underwater Squad. We are in overtime. They cannot afford to lose a fight here on King's Row. It will take so long for them to get back from spawn. Anyone who gets traded out here may well not be coming back this fight.
Overtime Wicked's burning down, Harry. Faz goes in once again, tries to get the boot. That shadow gets laid down from Duplicate, expecting Baboon to get knocked up. He did not, and Faz gets punished for it. The self-destruct landing straight on top of the payload, but everybody from Underwater Squad already going down. Pika is going to fall as well, and Underwater Squad continue to move the payload onto second in OT.
Phase 2 running forward right here. Underwater Squad, they have been... Well, they've been able to claim second point. They will get that extra 1 minute and 30 seconds to try and move in towards the end. Phase 2 don't really look like they have many tools to try and repel this next attack. However, Atomics definitely needs to get 14% more towards that Graviton Surge, but Panic can still mitigate that with the Transcendence, and Reptile also has the option available to use his Sound Barrier. Baboon's going to try and claim as much space as he can here, but he doesn't have a corner to play around. Baboon's moved upwards.
Nice grab, finds 4 as Panic jumps in there as well. Pika hasn't got that self-destruct to launch on top of the Graviton Surge. It's only 10% away. Duplicate is still just trying to build up this Earth Shatter as quick as he can. Kevin's going to use that rally to make sure they can create a little bit more space as Duplicate's shield falls extremely low. Self-destruct launched out from phase 2 as a Graviton Surge comes out from Underwater Squad as well. Baboon ends up going down and still no self-destruct. It's way too late and Duplicate's going to be able to block it. Not all of it though, as Faz ends up falling regardless. They end up trading 2 Lucios, but still man advantage for phase 2 right now as Icy ends up going down. Reptile finds a little bit of comeuppance in Nishik falling as well, but still we are looking at 30 seconds remaining. Duplicate finds a nice shatter onto Derek, but that beat is going to save their lives just for a moment.
Faz is going to done the second beat right here. Duplicate's going to move back. The shield's broken.
Nice shield broken. It's dead. He's going to follow Baboon with the easy shadow kill onto King as well. Underwater Squad can still make the delivery of this payload to third. They got 5 seconds left, but phase 2 is spawning in.
It's going to have to be an overtime, Jaws. Phase 2, they're ready to come in. Duplicate's going to try and make his way past Baboon, but he's going to make them pay in hell for it. There's an early pin, but an
perfect bash onto Duplicate to stop the pin damage coming through onto Baboon. There's a Graviton Surge, and again, no self-destruct for phase 2 to combo with it. And Duplicate now going down, and King to follow. There's no one for phase 2 to really hide behind. Pika is 10%, 5% away from using that self-destruct, but gets demech before that can even happen. Jupiter finds his way back onto the payload as this Transcendence is going to keep the rest of them alive. And now King jumping onto the mage to try and stall some extra time, but it is Underwater Squad just cutting every single member of phase 2 down before they can touch the payload. They end up getting the delivery in OT, but what a hard-fought round from the very beginning.
It was phase 2. They made them pay in blood and, of course, in time for that full capture. And the question is now, can they do it with more than a minute in the bank? If phase 2 can complete this round with more than a minute in their time bank, they will get a 3-second attack in order to try and claim 33% and claim the round. If they do it with less than a minute, we will be going to extra rounds. Both teams will be given at least a minute to ensure that they can have some kind of pace car set. And if they can't do it at all, Jaws, Underwater Squad, well, they're going to be feeling pretty good.
What really happened there in his first point, Harry? That's the question. They were held for so long. It was the ults that really it was the ults from phase 2 that just, their ult economy game is just so good. Like, it's actually a little bit ridiculous. There's more often than not when they it seems when they're panicked and maybe a little bit rushed at the end, they can't quite build up these set plays that they really like to go for. It is always grab, self-destruct, grab, self-destruct, grab, self-destruct. But there was a couple of times near the end where they just couldn't get that off. And it felt like at that point, they were clutching at straws. They can't really combo with anything else. I mean, you need the Reinhardt really to swing in for the extra damage as well. But if they don't have that set play, it did seem that Phase 2 are just going to fall apart.
Yeah, Phase 2 did actually have a significant advantage in what I'd call the second to last fight there of King's Row. They did still have their Reinhardt up, and they managed to hit an Earth Shatter onto Derek, who had high energy, although Reptile tried to answer it with the sound barrier. They just weren't able to deal with the counter-aggression of respawning members of Underwater Squad, and you've got to be able to claim that space while you have the advantage. The second that you take down the enemy Reinhardt, you've got to stabilize, claim space, and leverage the advantage you have in that consistent barrier.
Well, now Phase 2 are on the attack, and like you said, they do finish with over a minute. It will be a minimum of a draw for them. Going far more aggressive this time. Baboon again getting booped around. Shield's falling extremely low as well. Duplicate ends up breaking. So Underwater Squad know they've got a shield advantage for the time being, although because Baboon's was fairly low as well, he was forced to back off too.
Underwater Squad have actually seeded all this space. Phase 2 can now force them onto a point. You can see Duplicate wants to take that. Kevin and Baboon, they're trying to figure out who's going to be there to contest, and we're going to try and boot Duplicate back in.
Another big boot from Faz. He's just going so aggro on Baboon. Baboon's not having a good time whatsoever, although he has built up a lot of ult charge regardless. Atik has been acquired by Phase 2 and a really early Transcendence from Nishik, just hoping that there's no Graviton Surge available yet from Underwater Squad. However, they will also use their Transcendence nearer the end of the cast time of Phase 2s. They get the additional healing, but can't quite leverage it just yet. They end up finally killing Duplicate off as King is also surrounded upon. He ends up going down. It looks like Phase 2 are going to have to back off, but still 2 ticks have been acquired on the first point. Not too bad whatsoever.
Underwater Squad there, not forced to use many ultimates except for counter Transcendence after Nishik pulled it out first. And oh, Derek's going to hit it again with a long-range mortar. That's going to put a dent in Phase 2's time. It was such a long fight, Jaws. So it was dancing around for so long. A minute and a half has already elapsed. Phase 2, they managed to get a positioning on the point, but they just didn't get aggressive enough when they had that Transcendence. It felt like it was a late call. They had to make a couple of meters commute with the Transcendence behind them, which meant that Panic had a longer effective time with that Transcendence.
Well, they do have at least one support ultimate on board, and that is the sound barrier. Reptile kills Duplicate though with just a simple boop. Panic is going to get traded. Same with Onyx. Reptile finding 2 kills on the side of Underwater Squad. Phase 2 want absolutely nothing to do with this fight whatsoever and end up backing off again. There is still 2 minutes left in the time bank. Half of it total has actually been burned, but Phase 2 now nearing the combo that they want. Onyx has that ultimate of the self-destruct. Sorry, Onyx has the Graviton Surge, and Pika has that self-destruct.
Felt like a disjointed push right there. Duplicate was taken down so quickly. Underwater Squad simply target calling better. They saw a Ryan charge again. They were like, well, he's going to die. Duplicate wants to try and posture up here. Wants to try and go Earth Shadow versus Earth Shadow. The grab's coming out first.
Grab, self-destruct on top. The shield got removed, but a nice, perfectly timed ult personal barrier coming through from Phase 2 does save Duplicate for a brief second. Not before Reptile can get his hands on him though, as he does end up killing him off. Pika is going to go down as well. 4 ults expended from Underwater Squad. They still have 2 support ultimates on board though in Phase 2. They're nearing a full 6.
With that expenditure, like you said, Jaws, Underwater Squad now are not in a great position to deal with Phase 2's incoming onslaught. Support ultimates will be answered with support ultimates, but the full tank combo is here. They've got the Earth Shadow, they've got the Graviton, they've got the self-destruct. They don't want to have to use them all, but with the time bank at only 48 seconds, they may be forced to do so.
Duplicate shield and Baboon's going fairly low. You can see them staggering a little bit. 3 members now, 4 members actually caught up. Where with that self-destruct? Hold on! I got knocked back completely. Pika's self-destruct got knocked onto the point, meaning it couldn't be dunked straight on top of Underwater Squad. They were still on the point, however, as the rest of Underwater Squad were actually grabbed off of it, meaning they can actually get the car.
Smart grab there from its Onyx. Knew that there were 2 win conditions. Either murder the enemy team or just get that last tick. And well, they attempted for both, but there was some great interruption there onto Pika's mech. I assume what they probably had was a whip shot combined with a boop right there. There may have been some manner of stun going on as well to hold the momentum and send it the other way. I'm not sure. Either way,
looped around. I need a replay of that. Like, it actually, like, U-turned. It was super strange.
Most importantly, it just didn't reach Underwater Squad, who are about to be reaching this central Lalaway here, but they didn't get as many fights out of this as they would like because they were forced to retreat after having lost that point.
Baboon gets jumped on once more. Nice particle barrier once more on him. As soon as he gets stunned, bam, instantly. And Derek is going to be able to get a whole lot of energy for that as well. The Shadow comes out as well as both beasts. Shadow doesn't really connect with all of anybody, and Faz goes into the back line again to try and boot Baboon. Graviton gets thrown out, but he gets eaten by Pika. Another Shadow comes through as well, and it lands on the cart. 3 people stunned up. Duplicate finds the Grey. Reptile's going to find a double kill, and Faz is also going to fall. They do get the cart fairly far, however, and there's still 2 minutes to work with.
I'm going to call an ouch on that transfer right there from Nishik. A couple of his teammates are already dead. He was only sustaining 1 person on the cart. Although for phase 2 there, it felt like the cart was a real MVP. A load of them stunned up in front of Icy's mech. But the payload actually blocked the blast, so none of them died to the self-destruct except a little bit of a knockback. Duplicate's going to claim the space, moving down now from the high ground, think he may well have caught out Baboon. Derek doesn't have himself a personal barrier, and it's an attempt at a boot, but not going to be working out this time.
Oh, look how aggressive they are going. Just speeding straight into Duplicate. They knew there was no particle barriers available from Onyx, and they're like, yeah, okay, it's go time. We got 2 of our own, and Duplicate just got ran down. Now look how far forward they're holding, right up into the spawn doors. They might as well at this point. They can get two fights out of this, plus the payload is steadily moving back.
Minute is left available for phase 2 on their attack, with Graviton Surge just going to go up against the counter Graviton Surge from Derek, but there's far more to answer on the side of Underwater Squad. They'll have a Transcendence alongside the shielding. Nice grab, another nice grab coming out from Underwater Squad as well. The self-destruct more used defensively that time by Pika, so nothing can get thrown into their own. However, everybody was caught in the grab anyway on the side of Underwater Squad, so no one could have actually done any damage. So Pika maybe using that one a little haphazardly. They end up retreating regardless. Duplicate still has that shatter. Baboon's only 10% away, and they've only got 20 seconds remaining. Harry, they're going to have to go, mate. They know that the resources were invested from Panic to keep everyone alive in that Graviton Surge. They know they have the advantage now. Nishik can push for more forward should he require with that Transcendence. Here comes Self-Destruct from IC. Duplicate's going to block it up. Again, another haphazard one as Derek's only 10% away. They could have used that to combo. Baboon still has that shatter, yes, and Derek only just getting the last one, his ultimate online. They're going to have to run at them right now as that rally's going up. That shatter hits the floor, but everybody's going to just completely ignore it. It gets blocked up by Duplicate's shield. Another couple of grabs do land onto the payload, as well as Reptile using that sound barrier to come out. Baboon's going to be the first casualty of war as the Flame Dozer strike him right through the center of the shield, and Icy is going to be kept alive on top of this payload as that Transcendence comes through from Underwater Squad. Baboon died with that shatter as well, a key ultimate that they could have used, and Duplicate's going to earn himself another one in this fight as well. Baboon going down was the critical point here. Rice is going to try and make a disengage. This could be desperation as they wait for Baboon to return, and he's got to the fight, Jaws. He's finally here, but Duplicate's got another shatter ready and waiting to go. That's so big! It's a massive one from Underwater Squad, but another counter one from Duplicate. Everybody's on the floor, but finally phase 2 get back up. Onyx and Duplicate end up clearing up the rest of the team fight. Unbelievable shadow from Duplicate to stop the incoming damage from Underwater Squad. Both Ryan's coming up huge, but phase 2 comes up a little bit bigger as they capture second. Anything you can do, I can do better. It's Onyx as well, gonna have to celebrate, glowing like a Christmas tree. Got a grab, ready to go, and he's gonna be able to combine that crucially with Pika and that self-destruct. Thus far, we've seen quite disjointed combo usage from Underwater Squad. Icy throwing in those haphazard mechs, as you noticed before. The defense matrix is gonna be down. This is the opportunity to bring in that Graviton Surge, but he's waited for Pika to get that defense matrix back. Derek has that grab as well. Baboon goes extremely low. The defense matrix, 2 second CD, Harry. There you go. 4 members caught up. Self-destruct launched on in. Just remove the shield. They do just that as the Baboon dies before he even hits against the wall. Panic still using that trance to keep everybody alive as Duplicate gets jumped on, but Kevin's going to fall. It's now a 3-for-1 trade in favor of phase 2, where they still have ults pumping out. They got that rally, so no one is actually going to go down, and they still have 2 support ultimates to use. Duplicate's going to come back from spawn, but it's only 30 seconds remaining before they can deliver the payload. Not much of an investment over from Underwater Squad. They're playing it smart. They know we're going to get to overtime before this really comes into that final stretch. Duplicate needs to shut down so many ults with just an Earth Shadow here. He did it before on point 2. He needs to repeat history for point 3, but he's got to deal with so much that he whiffs it. The Shadow goes straight into Baboon's shield. The Graviton Surge comes through, as well as that self-destruct right on top of Onyx.
He ends up going down to Icy as Pika ends up trading 1-for-1. Both teams getting a couple of kills as Baboon ends up going down as well. A late Transcendence from Panic here might just be all that they need, but Duplicate with a big shadow ends up sending 3 to the floor, but Kevin stops him in his tracks, stunning him up so no damage can actually come through. Emergency Hammer now as King ends up jumping onto the point, but he's only got Faz for healing as Nishik has only just got back to the fight as well. He was scurrying for cover as Baboon was running towards him and he ends up killing off Faz. They are 3 meters in fact from delivering. Another self-destruct has been earned from phase 2, but Baboon's going to help him survive, make sure he survives himself with his own shield. Pika ends up finding another one as the tracks from Nishik comes out. Pika on a spree as he kills 3 people. Even Derek jumping on to the Bastion to try and stop this payload from moving, but he's quickly taken out by Onyx, who was on the Tracer. They finally getting it in, but both teams just struggling to get it past this second point. Both squads as well, ending it in overtime.
Oh, we're going to extra innings, Jaws, and in that final fight, it seemed like there was just so much pressure onto Baboon's shield, so much potential for displacement from the Wrecking Ball, and there were actually some really good dives coming out from Pika and its Onyx on that Diva Tracer combo. They were always going on wherever Nishik put down that Discord orbit. It was basically like classic dives, and Underwater Squad, they were under so much stress, like attempting to figure out how they were gonna clutch out this fight using attrition to their advantage. They weren't in a place where they could deal with the incoming dive heroes. They tried to bring out Derek on the Bastion, but he was very quickly mitigated by Pika with a defense matrix, and when Pika's defense matrix ran out, we saw a little bit of face tanking from the Wrecking Ball with that reactive shield, so that was a great way to try and deal with the incoming fire of a Bastion. They sent Onyx's way on the Tracer to give him a quick 2-clip to shut him on down.
Yeah, what's best about body blocking as well with the Hammond is that you're going to get so many shields because the amount of people that are still on the payload, plus those shields don't actually count towards ult charge either. So you're really not sacrificing a whole lot considering what you're actually gaining, which is mitigation, the mitigation damage from the Bastion just laying into the rest of your team.
Yeah, it can be a pretty effective zoning tool as well with that 450 DPS coming out from the minigun. Does do a little bit less against armor, however. Duplicate is going to be the armor for his team right here. Look at how aggressive they're being. Don't want to give up any space for 3 to Underwater Squad.
I'm surprised you haven't actually seen Anna on the defense. She can just hold up high ground and can end a fight as well with a simple nade. They are just running the standard 3-3 though, of course, both sides. Those who have a minute remaining, 30 seconds now. Underwater Squad just backing off. They are backing off real far too. Is Baboon clearly just wanting to get 100% of his shields up before they actually go for this re-engage.
Yeah, speaking of shields, Duplicate's having much better shield rotations here. Baboon is taking a lot more damage on that barrier compared to Duplicate at the moment, but Baboon now going to win this one out. He's managed to pressure onto the point with a lot of his shield health left. Look how quickly that's cracking. There's so much focus, Jaws. He's under so much pressure.
Yeah, you can see Onyx and Pika just plinking away at it. They got 5 seconds remaining. Almost managed to get a tick. There's a Graviton Surge. Nishik still has that Transcendence though. There's, again, no self-destruct ready to combo with this. The Divas are lagging behind ever so slightly, and now they have the healing advantage. Nice little stun onto Baboon there, or even a push into the wall, but the shadow still landed on Duplicates. He ends up going down as the Graviton Surge from phase 2 gets thrown out. Again, mitigated though, because Panic is building up these Transcendences just so fast. Faz ends up falling as well, a mid-beat gets cancelled. Reptile ends up going down as Onyx stops him in his tracks. Underwater Squad is still in this fight. They're bringing out the Widowmaker now, trying to make a big impact. But Derek's going to get back. Duplicate's going to get back into this fight.
They're still going to be in the fight. They're still going to be on the point as well. Duplicate moving forward, almost has that Earth Shadow ready to go.
Beautiful beat. Headshot onto Pika's baby Diva body is going to go down, but that beat coming through and not being cancelled by Faz just planted them on the point, enabled them to play so aggressive. And now Nishik with a second Transcendence in a minute and a half is going to get on there. Derek was the only person that could touch. It was on the Widowmaker. Nishik and Faz just coming up clutch at the end. 2 trances and a beat within 1 minute and 30 seconds, Harry.
Messy final fight right there. The return of Duplicate got that big shadow, but took a headshot with the Discord Orb. That'll do 390 damage to you. No, Reinhardt's going to be shaking that one off after. Nishik was a little bit late with the Transcendence, but I'm pretty sure he was spamming that Q key as he tried to bring out those orbs.
Please. I do that so often. Oh my goodness! I'm like, I've got people are in grab, and you're in that situation. I'm like, yeah, I've got trans in like 2%, guys, and you're desperately trying to hit someone and also pressing Q at the same time. If you miss it and everybody dies,
stuck in like a defense matrix. So you're like, I'm trying to all, but they're disappearing.
Or even worse situation when you're actually in the grab as well, and you're like, I have 2% till trans. I need to hit someone once or kick somebody, but they're just piling on top of us, please, and I can just save us. And you feel awful when you die, or like when the whole team dies, and then you're the only one left. It's like, I got trans, guys, and you're all actually in spawn. It's, oh man. I know that feeling all too well. Nishik, though, not really having, not feeling all that, not feeling that kind of pressure, though. He had 2 transcendences, like I said, in about 1:30 seconds. Well, the first one came online in under a minute. It just insane amounts of damage pumped out by the Zen.
Cool, under pressure, definitely experiencing that tranquility. Phase 2 now, 70.6% away from having claimed this second map right here. Would bring them up to 2-0 and we'll put them on match point. Look at how much duplicate shield damage is taking. The second map ghost is going to be the main target of Derek. They're having to rotate their front line here with the shields of Brigitte and duplicate. The duplicate shield already smashed.
Someone needs to kill fast. He's getting away with way too much. Received an armor pack at the end there as he did get stunned by the Brig. Kevin doing a good job of just trying to keep him in check, but it's just not happening at the moment.
We've got to remember they can't really take very long fights here. They need to basically only take one fight now. 20 seconds remain. Duplicate's gone for his space on the point, and Baboon's going to play around the corner. Reptile's going to play very defensively.
Big stun from King, and look at that again! Faz gets away with so much as he boosts Duplicate in. Baboon in. Duplicate is going to go down there, but so is Derek. Baboon and Derek falling here forces Panic to use a more Panic Transcendence to keep everybody alive. Remember, there's only 70% of the point that's needed. Both rallies are coming out as well as a grab from Onyx.
They can't
a self-destruct as well from Kevin. They can't touch it all. They're not going to be able to now as they get sent back to spawn. Kevin and Reptile falling as Baboon comes back on the hamster. There's no way they're going to be able to save this one now. Panic just running away back to phase 2 zone spawn. Phase 2 come up with a 2-0 in this series so far and put themselves on match point as well.
And we keep highlighting it, the difference there was definitely in the Lucio play. Faz decided to go full assassin, getting the boops onto Baboon. Meanwhile, Reptile was playing so much more defensively, wanted to make sure he was booping away anyone who was trying to move forward and swing into Baboon, trying to use that
Look at this shatter, Harry.
That's brutal.
Oh, I'm interrupting you because that was actually sick. Like, Baboon, you saw him on the sides, and you could see where Baboon was looking. He was looking at the rest of Duplicate's team. It's like, he's not behind shield, like, at all. And he just laid down the hammer on 5 people, and then Duplicate gets the perfect counter shatter to make sure that no one from Underwater Squad can actually capitalize on the shattered members of Phase 2.
And to continue singing his praises, I don't think I've ever seen that much damage blocked in a single map. That was 74,662 damage blocked by Duplicate. That's insane. That is actually mental.
I'm not really sure how how do you even do that? That's like actually absurd.
When we think about Duplicate Shadowbearer, it also saved the entire round, maybe even the series for them, because they could have easily been taken down there by Baboon's own 3-man shadow, but coming in with a counter 5-man, not only ensuring there was no follow-up, but also being able to get some follow-up yourself, because you of course weren't affected by the Earth Shadow of Baboon, and after that of course managed to snowball onwards through to point 3 and eventually win out on that final point as well.
Yeah, I mean, what's a good shadow without any follow-up? There's like nothing. You can't really do much. I mean,